I've been playing music for a lot of years, and I have people ask me all the time, what does it take to get out there and play? Well, first is, as you know, a lot of practice at home, but then getting out to open mics, jam sessions, starting to feel yourself out. Find out if you like being out in front of people. It takes a lot of energy, and depending on your personality, it can be very taxing. But then the next thing you have to start thinking about is equipment and what do you need to perform. Now, yes, if you play guitar, you can stand out on a street corner and just play your acoustic guitar and you're fine. But if you need amplification, most people will start off with a small PA system or a small amplifier and build up from there. What I'm going to show you right now is some of the things you can build up to about a medium-sized system. Now, this is not for your huge bands. It's not for, doing stadiums and such. One that I have here, it has two inputs. You could have a microphone, you could have a guitar, even allows you to jack in your phone if you needed to have music. Now this works just fine if you're doing a very small venue. It can also work as a floor monitor when your PA gets larger. So this will give you a starting point. Now again, some people prefer to have their own amplifier if they're playing guitar and then just use the PA for microphones. But this is a good starting system. The next thing you might move up to is something like one of the towers. So on the EV50, it comes with a 7-channel mixer and it has 1,000 watts of power. It comes with a subwoofer, so that gives you your bass sound. And then on top, there's a stack of small speakers to give you your highs and your mid-level sounds. One of these towers is more than adequate for most restaurants and venues you play at. However, if you play outdoors or if you're playing in a very noisy environment that requires more amplification, you may want to have a second column and that will provide you more coverage. Once you pass this size, you may also need to have, depending on the number of people you're playing with, an external mixer. Now they make many kinds of external mixers. The one that I use is made by Behringer. It's called the XR18. It has 18 inputs so that if you have a large band, or in my case, we have a percussionist that has a lot of different microphones and inputs from his percussion system, as well as we have a guitarist with a microphone, and then I have a microphone and my bass. That means that you could record each of those inputs individually through the mixer and out to the PA system. Additionally, you can take an output from that mixer and run it into your laptop, and if you have the appropriate software, record each of those channels to mix later. Now, being a bass player, I also like to have a bass amplifier. Now, I use a Mark Bass 210. It's a very small bass amplifier that has about 350 watts, which is more than adequate for most venues. However, if I'm playing outside, I may need to have a little bit more boost, and so I can add a second 210 cabinet underneath my original amplifier, and it gives me 500 watts worth of power. Now you're going to have to remember that you're going to need to have cables to run the system. So the types of cables that you'll be using are called XLRs. They have 3 pins to them. Typically they're used with microphones, but they can also go into pedal boards. The second that you may need are 1/4-inch cables. That's a typical cable used for guitars and basses. Now you also want to have a lot of adapters because you never know what people bring and you may need to adjust accordingly. If you want to have a little more control as well as what you're hearing, you may want to either have a floor monitor, such as we talked about with the S1, or you can use remote in-ear monitors. Now with that, you have a transmitter and a receiver. So there's a transmitter that plugs into your mixer on one of the outputs that allows you to mix the sound coming out. That will go transmit to a body pack that the entertainer's using with a set of headphones. That allows them to hear exactly what they want from everything that you're bringing into the mixer. I hope this has helped you a little bit. I know there's a lot more to this. I'm just scratching the surface, but I just thought I'd show you what I've been doing with my system.